Okay, we've talked about getting to know your money planet in another episode, but something you really want to get to know if you want to amplify your business success and alignment is your career or your public reputation planet. Now, this is kind of like higher level astrology that we're going into today. But once you understand this, it's going to make so much more sense to you. And it's going to make so much more sense to your understanding of yourself in business. And you can use it to give yourself an extra boost when it comes to your marketing, your messaging, and your overall, I've got this vibe in business, right? And I know the title of this episode might turn you off a little bit because let's just address the idea of using rituals. Some people might be turned off by that term, but ultimately, what I want you to know about rituals is they are just a practice that you can use to anchor in a certain mindset. It doesn't have to feel super woo-woo or spiritual to work. It's just a practice that is helping you anchor into something. Okay, let's get into it. So you might remember me talking about the 10th house in a number of episodes, particularly in the 12 houses episode, which is episode 10. If you want to go back and listen to that, go and listen to that if you want to understand more of the house system. However, the 10th house, as I've explained before, relates to your career or public reputation. But what we want to get really specific on in your chart is where your midheaven, the highest point in the sky, on the day you were born, we want to know what zodiac sign that is in. If you're using the whole sign house system, which is what I recommend and what I use and what I teach with, then your midheaven could be in the 10th house. It could also be in another house. It's a point in your chart that's calculated like the ascendant or the rising sign. It's based on the time and place you were born. So in a traditional whole sign house chart, it could be in the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, or even the 12th house, depending on the place you were born, right? But don't worry too much about that for now. What we are looking for is the sign your midheaven, also marked in the chart as the MC, is in. So let me just use me as an example, and then I'm going to go through what you need to know. So my midheaven or MC point is in Aquarius, the zodiac sign Aquarius. Traditionally, and I use the traditional rulerships of the signs, Aquarius is ruled by the planet Saturn. This makes Saturn my career ruling planet. So basically, you need to know the traditional rulers of each zodiac sign in order for this to work for you. I'm going to pop a list of these in the show notes as well to make it really easy for you, but I'm also going to explain them on the podcast as well. I'll go through them in this podcast as well. So here's a quick rundown of the 12 zodiac signs and their ruling planets. This is just a list, okay? The zodiac sign of Aries, because that's the first sign. Aries is ruled by Mars. Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus. Gemini is ruled by the planet Mercury. Cancer is ruled by the moon. Leo is ruled by the sun. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Libra is ruled by Venus. Scorpio is ruled by Mars. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Aquarius is also ruled by Saturn. And Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. Okay, so once you know which planet is the ruler of your career zone, you can start to think about how you might like to honor this planet and amplify its power in your business. So once you know which planet is the ruler of your career zone, you can start to think about how you might like to honor this planet and amplify its power in your business by creating a special ritual or practice in your day or your week or your month. Okay, I'm going to give you a few examples here to get you thinking about how it might work for you. But the way I see it, the more you can honor and get in alignment with your special planet, the more you're going to feel in flow with your work. And naturally then, the more aligned opportunities are going to come your way and you're going to be able to create in your business. So let's go through some examples for each of the ruling planets. So if your career ruling planet, like me, is Saturn, we know that Saturn, if you listen to a few of my episodes, and there is an episode specifically on Saturn, we know that Saturn likes structure. It likes boundaries. It likes discipline. It likes commitment. A ritual to honor this planet needs to be quite structured into your day or week. Maybe it's writing down a list of your professional boundaries each week, because Saturn loves a solid boundary. Or maybe it's journaling on what your big picture legacy is, or what you're committing to this week, this day, this month, right? Those are the kinds of things that Saturn likes. Saturn wants you to make a commitment in some way. It wants you to set up some structure. So think about that. It also doesn't mind a little bit of, a daily practice for Saturn is really good, because it is such a big commitment. And I know that might seem like a lot, but you may have a daily journaling practice for Saturn. But I would highly recommend, if Saturn is your career or public reputation planet, that you think about how you structure your business, how you structure your days and your actual operations in business too. That is a real honoring of the planet Saturn, and it just helps anchor that sense into you and into your business a little bit more, right? Structure, commitment, boundaries. Okay. If your career ruling planet is Mars, so that would mean your MC or your midheaven is in Aries or Scorpio. Think about the types of things Mars likes. Mars is associated with warrior energy, with fire, with heat, with passion. Maybe you want to dedicate a workout per week to Mars and use that energy from that workout to really amp up or juice up your workday. So use that to really juice up your workday. Maybe you want to add in some exercise breaks or high energy dance breaks to your workday. Like, really think about how you can bring the fire and the passion into your work, into your day to day. It may also be a journaling practice with Mars too, but Mars really wants to express itself energetically in some way. So maybe there's some embodiment practice you can do to honor the energy of Mars. Okay, moving on to Venus. If your career ruling planet is Venus, well, this is just a really nice one, right? This is lovely. Basically, it would be a great idea to set up some work rituals that get you feeling really good. So what makes you feel good? Maybe light a candle, put on some beautiful music, or give yourself the gift of flowers for your workspace each week. You really want to kind of play a bit more with this Venusian energy. You want to work with that more sensual and receptive side of Venus. How can you have more pleasure in business? What activities are going to make you feel really good? You can also work with money rituals if Venus is your career or public reputation ruling planet, because Venus is also associated with money and resources. You can think about this in terms of what rituals am I creating to remind me of my self-worth, to remind me of my value in business, to remind me of the value that I provide to my clients, to remind me of the resources that I have. Like that gratitude practice is really beautiful for Venus as well. But really be thinking about pleasure and play with Venus too. Like, don't forget that. Think also about those more tactile things and bringing that into your workplace. You know, that's why I suggest candles or flowers or, you know, things that look and feel delicious. You know, even honoring yourself and honoring your work with a delicious lunch every day. You know, committing to that kind of thing. Okay, let's go to Jupiter. If your career ruling planet is Jupiter, this means you would have either Sagittarius or Pisces as your midheaven or your MC. This is cool too. Let's think about amping up the enthusiasm and the higher learning or the wisdom here. How can you get yourself in this really juicy, expansive state that Jupiter loves? What can you do to like read, expand your mind, or what can you journal about that will make you feel super expansive and abundant? What would that feel like? What would that look like to you? You really want to tap into the expansiveness of Jupiter if this is your career public reputation ruling planet. You want to create some sort of a practice that's going to help you get into that expansion. Lean into that wisdom. Honor your own wisdom too, but honor, you know, the wisdom that you may have collected from others. You know, dive deeper into your favorite teachers' books, or, you know, thinking about the kinds of coaches that you like working with, or the types of knowledge that you're trying to gather and bring into your own work. Those kinds of things are very Jupiterian, because Jupiter is all about abundance, expansion, and wisdom. Okay? If your career ruling planet is the moon, that means your midheaven is in Cancer. This is all about honoring your emotions and your needs and the needs of the people that you serve, your clients or your customers, but also paying attention to the cycles of the moon. Okay, that is a beautiful ritual to honor your career ruling planet or your business ruling planet, the moon. Pay attention to the cycles of the moon. What are you doing at a full moon? What are you doing at a new moon? Maybe you could create a new moon business ritual for yourself, setting intentions around how you want to feel for the next month and how you're going to look after yourself and nourish yourself in business. Okay. If your career ruling planet is the sun, this would be if your midheaven is in Leo, right? This is all about noticing your energy for visibility and setting up your days for success. Remember that the sun governs our days, and it's associated with how we ourselves shine and how we allow others to shine. So how we allow our clients to shine as well. Planning your days, because the sun rules over our days, right? So planning your days is a beautiful ritual to get into alignment with the sun's energy, or a beautiful practice, whichever word resonates more for you. So this can be a really helpful thing to help honor the sun. Plan your days and as much as possible, stick to the plan. But it's more about the intention for each day, right? It's not necessarily about planning it to the minute. It's more about, planning your days with intention. And maybe making some time to get outside and appreciate the sun. Feel that energetic recharge that the sun can give you, especially before you're doing a major visibility activity for your business, like a live stream or, even sending out an email that feels a little bit trickier, or putting up a post that feels a little bit vulnerable. Get yourself outside, get recharged by the sun, check in with yourself again afterwards. Okay, so that's the sun. Now, finally, Mercury. If your career ruling planet is Mercury, that would mean your MC or your midheaven is in Virgo or Gemini. This is where you want to create some rituals around communication, around messaging, or around, commerce, around, trade type transactions. So a few ways you might do this is you could write yourself some little love notes and place them strategically around your office. You could also create more of a ritual around paying your bills and organizing your payment systems. I know that sounds a little bit boring, but that's a really lovely way to honor the planet Mercury that, that doesn't control, but that governs our commerce, our systems of commerce, our systems of trade, right? Think about how you are organizing yourself. Mercury loves to organize. It loves to, pull apart and pull back together, that kind of thing. Notice the flow of messages and money around you and make it a thing to start celebrating that. That's another thing, a little practice or a ritual you can do. And the flow of money, obviously Mercury is into messages, specifically messages and communication. So think about how you can tap more into that. But thinking about the flow of money, that also relates to Venus, that also can relate to Jupiter. So really start to acknowledge that flow and make it a thing to celebrate. That's a ritual in itself, or a practice in itself, right? Another way to honor your career planet, regardless of which planet it is, if you want to take this a little further, is you could consider setting up a little altar in honor of your business or career ruling planet near your desk, using the colors and symbols associated with it. So for instance, if Mars is your ruling planet, use lots of fiery colors, reds, orange, that kind of thing. If it's Venus, think about having a little altar with beautiful plants and flowers and nice smells, candles, that kind of thing. If it's Saturn, bring in the grey or the silver and maybe some little statues or something that represents structure and form. So those are some ways that you can really tap into the energy of your business or career or public reputation ruling planet. I hope you got some juicy insights from that, and you can start using these ideas, these insights, to give your career and business sector a bit of a boost. I would love to hear how you go, so drop me a note on Instagram, drop me a DM or a comment on Instagram, or send me an email. Let me know how you go with this. Until next time, bye for now.